What does it mean to be perfect? The world has its images, the flawless performance, the gold medal moment when you can stop striving just for a second and soak in the moment. But then Jesus says, be perfect as your Father is perfect. And whatever comfort we had starts to slip because this doesn't sound achievable. It reminds us of how impossible perfection is. It sounds like one more expectation we'll never reach and just die trying. But is that how he meant it? If so, why include it when telling us to forgive and love our enemies? That doesn't sound like a score to reach or a standard to master. It sounds like choosing something hard when doing it our own way would be easier. Giving instead of winning. So if perfection isn't flawlessness, if it isn't giving everything right, what is Jesus really asking of us? What does it mean to be picture perfect in God's eyes?
Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Easter. My name's Pete, and I get to serve as the lead pastor here at Woodland Church. So coming, just like watching that video, and I wonder a question I could start with you this morning is this. When you hear the word perfect, like what comes into your mind? What pictures pop into your mind? Because sometimes I hear that word, and I don't know if you're like me, I can picture things that are like perfect moments in time, memories that I wish I could relive or do over again that were just so like excellent, like exactly a moment I just love. You know, from hearing her say yes when I was on bended knee to holding our first child and all four of our children, seeing them grow and thrive, whether on a stage or on a field, and like they're just confident and doing what they're made to do, or maybe just sitting at a table with close friends, enjoying each other's company and laughter, and like it's that deep sense of I wouldn't change anything right now. This is just the moment I want to stay in. Or maybe you hear the word perfect and you think about success in your life. Going all the way back, the little gold star they used to put on your spelling test. You're like, I'm somebody. Or you get trophies, or I don't know, hitting the game-winning basket or something. Hosting trophies, and look at me, I succeeded. Reading an acceptance letter that paid all the work off. Maybe it's like just coming out of a work meeting where you just nailed it. You did, every word landed, and everyone was like, wow, so brilliant. You're like, yes. Or something as simple as just pulling out the food out of the oven and the family eats it. And it's like, oh, perfect. Just like exactly like it's supposed to be. Those are often the memories that we hang in the hallways of our mind. Like, yeah, these were great. But all those beautiful milestones of perfection, the word also has a darker side, doesn't it? There's a part of that word that maybe what arises in your head evokes less kind of welcome images, maybe memories of not being enough, of not measuring up or making the grade. Maybe it makes your chest tighten a little bit, just hearing the word perfect. And think of the times you failed, or you weren't good enough, where you missed it or let people down. Coach pulled you out of the game, boss said, no, you're not on time. Maybe a teacher made you feel stupid, or a parent made you feel like you're a disappointment, and it just feels like perfection is this, I don't even want to think about it. I don't look the right way. I don't have the right bank account. I don't measure up. Maybe it's just this own, if you run into this, my own inner voice up here that could just be like, you're not good enough. Wants to criticize and analyze everything. Remind me of all the mistakes, of all the times that there was a bar that I was supposed to reach and I couldn't. Let people down. Perfection is this word that it's like a powerful word because it can just stir our brains to start thinking about memories, sometimes really great ones, amazing ones that we'd love to relive again, but oftentimes memories or ideas or feelings of just pressure, of times we failed to measure up to some standard the world said, this is what you gotta be. And it can create this like low-level humming anxiety in the back of our minds and just hearing the word. And then, as if living with that isn't enough, we go ahead and just throw on this whole religion thing. And it's like, hey, I know you got a lot going on, but also you've also got God in the mix. As if your parents, your coaches, and your boss isn't enough to make you feel sometimes inadequate. It's like we just dial the pressure up to 11 with what we feel like these overwhelming expectations of, I don't know, the creator of the universe who's got all of his, rules, and the big guy up there with his picture perfect son who's just watching us, evaluating, keeping score. I saw that one. In this massive rule book, which I know for some of us can feel about as much fun to read as the trying to figure out your iPhone update terms and conditions. You're like, no, thank you. I'd rather not. And it's like, is this even helping? And as if the pressure to perform, when I think about my own life and then adding in God isn't enough, and be like, well, it's not. I read things like this, and this is in the Bible. Jesus literally said this: be perfect. Oh, thanks. Like I needed that today. You're like, I hope to come to Easter service day and just be encouraged. Be perfect. Oh. For some of us, we hear that word and it's like, it sounds about right. Yeah, religion is just one more guilt trip I don't need. You can keep it. So what do we do? Well, for some of us, maybe we try harder, we lean in more, like give ourselves more. Maybe for a while, maybe we sort of quietly step back. Maybe show up a couple times at Christmas and Easter. Welcome back. Maybe we just give up completely. I'm just done with the whole thing. I'm not interested in all of that. Or I don't know if this is better or worse, but maybe we just bury the guilt and we keep going through the motion, living with this constant sense in our heart of not measuring up to God, but just gotta keep showing up to church even though I don't enjoy it because I'd feel even more guilty and terrible if I didn't. Like, is this why we do this? Is this what this is about? I just wondered this morning, what if that's actually not what God is like? What if that's not what this is about? What if that's not the picture of who he really is? What if that's not even his idea of perfection? What if God's expectations for you are not like the world's? And it's not about all the things they tell you we have to do and be and look to be perfect. What if his expectations or heart for you is radically freeing and is actually something that's attainable, something you can reach? And what if the big scary rule book is really more of a story about someone who loves you, tearing down the unreachable standard and instead helping you achieve something greater than you could ever do on your own? To me, that would be picture perfect. That would be something I'd like to know more about. And it's why I'm into all this stuff. As I said, my name is Pete. I am the lead pastor here and been here now. A year ago was my first, I got voted in here. And I've been enjoying my time here. And one of the things that's been cool is earlier this year, we started together studying the story of Jesus. We're just studying the story of Jesus as it's told through the book of Matthew, which is the first of 4 books in the New Testament that just tell the story of Jesus. And these stories are called Gospels. And Matthew starts off by explaining to us essentially and arguing that Jesus is, in fact, God's chosen king, meaning Jesus has come to call us to follow him and live the way he's called us to live, to lead us into a different kind of life. But then you're like, okay, you might hear that, and maybe everything I've just said, you're like, well, okay, someone else tell me what to do. Why is that good news? Why is that a gospel? That's what the word gospel means, good news. And what we find, though, as we look at the story, is that it's good news because Jesus didn't just come to pile more expectations on your shoulders, to make you feel even worse about yourself or yell at you to try harder. Instead, he came to show us a whole different way of living and to actually help us live it. Not calling us to try harder, but to simply follow him. And this started off, if you're with us, we've been in this for a while, a few weeks now. He starts off by completely flipping the script on what it even means to be blessed. And that word blessed is just a very churchy word, but it just means it's a good life. It's the memories in your mind that you want to relive, that kind of life. How do we find that? And he wants to tell us that we're all searching for it, we all want it. But the problem is we're telling ourselves that it's through all these different things of how much money you make, how big your bank account is, how good you look, all this kind of stuff, how perfect your children are. He's like, I want to erase that completely and rethink what it even means to find the goodness of God in your life. And it's not just by, let's go back to these laws, guys, come on, let's go back to these laws. He shows up, he says, actually, I didn't come just to give you more or just beat you over the head with them. I've actually come to, he says, I've come to fulfill them. You're like, fulfill them? What do you mean? There was a reason or a purpose God gave them to you. And it wasn't just so you would feel bad all the time that you weren't doing enough. It wasn't just be like, see all the places you fell short. I actually came to show you that what those laws were about, the reason that God gave them to you, was because he was wanting to show you a different way of living. He was wanting to paint a different picture of what life can be. More like guides or signposts saying, hey, let's try this way because you've tried the way of the world and everything you've been told since you've been a kid and it hasn't worked out. Let's look for blessing like this. And where true blessing is going to be found is not the biggest bank account, the tallest trophy, the highest grades. It's going to be found by deciding, I want to live my life the way God created me to live. I want to follow him. But in doing that, there's just this weird moment. Because he climbs up on a mountainside and he begins to talk to people about what this life can look like. We call it the Sermon on the Mount. We've been walking through it together the last month. He's saying all these cool things like good news, good news. And then he just throws this statement out. It just feels almost like a gut punch. So like leaves you without any breath. Like, oh, it raises all the anxiety and insecurity and inadequacy. It storms back into our brains. He's standing there and he seems to almost affirm all the fears that we can have about God and religion, how it's all about impossible standards. He literally says to us, be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Not just be perfect like God, which, thanks, Jesus. I can't even live up to my mom's expectations, and now I'm supposed to be like God? No, good luck. What are you talking about? What more proof do we need that religion, all this Jesus stuff, it's just a massive guilt trip. We're never gonna make that God happy. I'm never gonna follow all the rules in his book. I don't even keep him straight. How is Jesus' message any different or better? Why is that good news? Why is that a gospel that I need to hear? It doesn't sound better to me. It just sounds harder. Be perfect, be like God, good luck. Well, okay, before we kind of panic and give up, I think we need to actually make sure we understand what Jesus is saying. And this is often a problem, I understand, when we read the Bible because we cannot always make sense of the words he uses and things because it was written in a different language. If we're not careful, not only do we misunderstand him, we actually are in danger of thinking he said something he never said or asked for something he never asked for. Because when you and I hear the word perfect, we think of how any good English dictionary like Webster's would define it. Being without fault, no mistakes, meeting every requirement, living up to an ideal, right? In this case, God himself, no pressure. That's what it is, it's all pressure. It's performance, it's achievement, perfection, no mistakes. And we think of trying to make the grade of being the best, of living without any flaws, failures, or letdowns, and we know it's not possible. Some of you guys are younger, maybe you haven't figured it out. Trust me, it's not possible. I don't know if it's possible to go like a day, much less my life. Why would Jesus ask that of us? Well, he didn't actually. And this again comes back to words. Jesus wasn't speaking English. This story was recorded in the ancient language of Greek 2,000 years ago. And if you go back and look at the original language of it, you find that it's kind of a weird translation that really made sense when the Bible was translated into English like 300 or 400 years ago, but doesn't quite fit anymore. He used a Greek word, and I want to introduce it to you. You don't have to remember it going home, but hopefully just get the idea. He introduced this word, he said, telos. And telos doesn't mean like flawless. It means complete, mature, or whole. Telos is like trying to reach a goal that you intended. If you go on a trip, and we're headed to, like most of this church went to Florida last week. If you're headed to Florida, when you arrive, telos, I've arrived. But probably one of the best ways to think of this word would be, think of an acorn, a little tiny acorn. Plants in the ground, and a long time later, I don't know how long, years and years and years, suddenly it grows up to be this massive oak tree. The oak tree was always in the acorn. The acorn was always meant to be the oak tree, but it wasn't until it actually grew up that it became telos. You might think of a building that's under construction. Half walls, no roof, wires hanging everywhere. And you can look at it and you can sort of say, I see kind of what the architect has in mind here, but it's still not really. And then there comes a moment where it's completely finished and they hand the keys to the owner, everything's done, and it's exactly like the blueprints. Telos. It's become what it was supposed to be. The most common and simple way is just to think about us as humans. A full-grown adult is telos. That word would apply to every adult in this room. A child is going to become an adult, and once it does, it's telos. But no one would have ever used that word, speaking of us as humans, to say telos is a flawless adult. There are no flawless people. It doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It means you've become what you were supposed to be. You've arrived at maturity or wholeness. And you can kind of think of these words, how they're similar, but they're actually very, very different. How we think of the word perfect from how this word telos was. Perfection in our minds and ears sounds like a test you have to pass, right? Whereas Jesus used a word that sounded more like a life that you grow into and that you were always just meant to grow into. Not a gold star trophy wielding, make the grades with no mistake life, but one that moves towards what it was always meant to be. And the Bible actually tells us what it was meant to be. The Bible tells us that what we were meant to be, the oak tree that these acorns were always supposed to eventually become, the way we were designed was to be the image of God. And that word image is literally the word picture. It's where we get the word icon, like a picture. Like look at it. When people look at us, they see something about God. But not like in the fact that we're, again, all powerful and can control weather or something, or all knowing. The idea of looking like God is more in the sense of like personality, or the sense of, what does God care about? What kind of things does God do? What does he value? If he were in charge, how would he do things? The pictures of God, the images of God, would do the same thing because they would look like him. And so we live that out. We become telos ourselves when we become mature, whole, when we start to look like God. But again, it's not in the sense of this like flawlessness or achievement. It's look at what God does. Look what he cares about. Look at how he's kind of handling the situation. And then you go do the same. And you will be telos. You'll be growing into that tree you were always meant to be. And this makes a lot more sense now when you look at where Jesus made this statement. Because I know I just kind of threw it out there. It wasn't just a one-liner. He just threw hey, here's a hard one for you. Be perfect. It's actually the last line of this 10-verse block that is really controversial and difficult and powerful and famous. And you've heard most of this before. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here's where it starts. Jesus looks at him and said, you've heard it said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, justice, pay them back. I tell you, don't resist an evil person, someone who hurts you. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn the other cheek. This is what he's talking about before the whole perfect stuff ever shows up. Turn the other cheek. Don't escalate. Don't make it worse. You have a law that establishes justice, and I'm for justice, but I actually care more about mercy and forgiveness. I want you to care more about mercy and forgiveness. If that doesn't shake you enough, later on in this whole section, he says, you've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. I tell you, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. And in this moment, it's like he's saying, you thought what I was saying was I was giving you this law, like love the people around you and kind of forget everybody else. But actually, you missed the heart of it. You missed the point of what that was about. It wasn't just limiting you loving people to the people that you like and that are easy to love, that are around you. No. I want you to love even the people that hurt you and cause you pain. Everyone. What does this have to do with perfection? Well, look at this statement here. He said, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. Okay, so if telos, complete, mature, can be applied to children and their parents, look what he's doing here. He's saying, are you the right kind of acorn that's gonna grow into the right kind of tree? Do you wanna grow into what you're made to do? Here is how you're a child of your Father. Here's what it looks like to start living out what you were actually made to be. These kinds of things, this path is what's gonna put you towards becoming more like him, and you're gonna be growing more into his image, the way you were made for. He tell us, forgiving, showing mercy, loving others, even your enemies, that's telos. Here's why it's telos, okay? Because that is how God treats us. It's what God does. If to be perfect or telos is to look at God and say, okay, what kind of stuff does he do? Do the same. That's what he does, literally. When we're strangers, when we're the people outside, when we're even enemies, when we're not measuring up, when we're not good enough, when we're as far from perfect as possible, when we've broken every stinking rule he gave us, God didn't say, okay, now you're gonna get what you deserve. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, here it comes. He didn't demand that you clean yourself up. He didn't demand that you perform better. He didn't demand that you need to fix that church attendance record, buddy, if you want my love. No, he did the exact opposite. He saw that there was this distance between us that we couldn't reach. Perfection was beyond our grasp. He said, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna wait for you to do it. I'm gonna bridge that myself, and I'm coming to you right where you are. And he took on human flesh and walked among us, becoming one of us. And in doing so, he says, I'm here, right here in your brokenness, and I wanna show you something better. I wanna show you how you can live differently. And not only that, I want to show you about myself. And here it is, Romans 5:8. God demonstrates his love for us. That while you were still sinners, not when you had it all together, not when you pulled all the right notes and did all the right things and you were the prettiest and the most popular and richest. No, while you were broken and nothing, he said, I'm here, I'm with you, and I will die for you. This Easter weekend, we celebrate and we remember that God saw that we couldn't live up to some ridiculous standard, that we were never gonna be flawless, we were never gonna follow all the rules perfectly. And he met us right where we were at. He met you right where you're at in your brokenness. And he gave his own life to pay a debt you couldn't pay, to bridge a gap that you were incapable of getting across. Because it was never about performance or perfection the way that we think of it in our language. It was never what he cared about. It was never flawless living. It was always God's love for us being expressed. And it's expressed when Jesus goes to the cross. Jesus, God made flesh, went to the cross. They didn't make him do it. He was God. He could have snapped his fingers and wiped everyone out on the planet in a heartbeat. He went to the cross and he gave up his life for you. The flawless, perfect one is hanging on a cross, looking down at his estranged children who weren't living telos, who weren't living the life they were called to. They've rejected him, mocked him, and made themselves his enemy by nailing his hands to a piece of wood. And instead of returning evil for evil, instead of saying, oh, here comes eye for an eye, he gave forgiveness. Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. He literally gave his life away as an act of love for those who didn't love him back. He didn't just die for the people who were lovable or who deserved it. None of us deserved it. But he wanted to free us, make us more than we could ever be on our own. And as he's dying on the cross, there's this moment that the book of John tells us. It says he's received a drink, and it said, Jesus says, it is finished. And he bowed his head, and he gave up his spirit, and he died. Anyone want to guess what the word finished is in Greek? Te telos stai. It is or has been made perfect. It's perfect. It's perfectly completed. It's finished because he has done what he came to do, which was free us from sin, pay a debt we couldn't pay, free us from the power of death, overcome it, and offer us life to the fullest forever. That is done, perfected, it's yours. But it's also perfect in a different way. It's perfect because it literally shows you and I what God is like. That God is not this angry judge in the sky who's trying to keep track of all of our behavior. He's a God that is filled with a love that moves towards the stranger and the enemy. A love that gives instead of takes. A love that forgives in the middle of pain. If you want to know what God is like, just look at the cross, and that's what God is like. And it's incredible, it's amazing. It's why the most famous Christian song, Amazing Grace, why would God do that? It's just who he is. And Jesus says, look at me. The cross is the truest picture of perfection because it's the picture of God. And if you and I were made to be like God, then following him in that is what it means to be telos, to be fully human. Perfection is not getting all the answers right. It's becoming people who love like God, who love him the way he loves us and then choose to love others. And what's so amazing about this, guys, what makes it especially good news, you can hear that, you're like, that almost sounds more stressful. Loving my enemies, that's harder than not murder. You know, I know. Jesus said, I didn't just come though to throw more stuff at you. When he died on the cross and he rose again, something amazing happened. It tells us in Romans that the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is now living in you. The spirit who raised Christ from the dead give you life to your mortal bodies, and the spirit who lives in you. Jesus actually is saying, I'm not just here to tell you there's a different way of living. I'm actually here. I've crossed to where you're at, and I want to help you. His spirit comes and lives inside of us and empowers us. Romans 5 says that we're filled with love for God. The thing I don't really have, but I need most. He's like, I'm going to come and give it to you because I love you and I want to see you succeed. He didn't just tell us about a better way to live. He actually gave us his spirit to see it happen. He didn't just show us a picture of perfection. He helps us live it ourselves. But it's important. Do we have the right picture? What is it? He didn't come to make us rich and powerful. He came to show us that true blessing is found in giving my life away and following him to the cross. And maybe that still feels a little overwhelming. Like love like Jesus. Oh man, where do I even start with that one? Here's the cool thing. You already have. A few months ago, I threw out this kind of wild idea. I was like, hey, what if we came together and we just gave a bunch of money away? And I was like, what's it gonna do? I don't know. But here's what's awesome. You guys did. You gave, and you didn't just give to people who could pay you back, not to people who earned it, not your closest friends and family. We literally gave to people that we didn't know. Like literally, you guys walked out into the streets and handed out cash along with a letter that said God loves people. Simply to love like Jesus. You chose to move towards people in need, to reflect the heart of God and love others the way that he did. You came together, you guys gave away $100,000. You guys just gave it away. And now you're like, I don't know, what does it look like to love like Jesus? How about that? As we close our time this morning, I just want you to hear the impact that kind of love actually has. I want you to walk out of here today remembering that when we love this way, when we follow Jesus and become like him in that way, when we pursue that kind of perfection, not what the world tells us to do, moving towards people with generosity and mercy and love, it changes lives and it reflects God's heart more than anything else you'll ever do. We have a pile of these cards that came in over the last few months. And I don't know anybody anybody. I don't know any of these people. But I love the cards. I thought maybe I'd share a couple with you. Again, I don't know these people. Maybe you do. But it's amazing. I've had the opportunity to open them every time they come in. Like this one from Lynn, who's an 80-year-old widow. She wrote us this card and she said, I was shopping at the thrift store in my wheelchair when I was visited by angels in disguise as members of your church. I was astounded by the generous gift, which I was able to use for groceries and some presents for my family. I hope you know what a blessing that made in my life. Thank you so much for your kindness. Got this one from someone named Eric. He wrote us a nice note. And in it, he said this, your Christmas gift truly touched our hearts. We can see and feel God's love from you. What else is there, guys? Someone that you don't even know said, I can see and feel God's love because of something you did. This one is a fun one for me. She wrote a lot. I won't read the whole thing, but her name's Sunny. I love it. She wrote about how every Christmas she tries to be generous and give to other people, but this year she didn't have anything. I think somebody caught her shopping at Salvation Army or something, and she wrote this, to the congregation of Woodland Church. It's you. This last Christmas was validation that God sees me. Your gift touched me emotionally and spiritually. It was such a wonderful feeling to be seen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It goes on. She was seen. Something you did. Linda wrote us a little card and very few details. I wanted to write and tell you that there doesn't seem to be enough words to thank you for your generosity. You wouldn't know this, and I won't get into the details, but it was so desperately needed. Thank you. I don't know who she is. I don't know what's going on. I don't think any of you did when you chose to give. Isaiah 117 is an organization here in town, and I think there are other places around the country that provide a safe space for kids who have been put into foster programming. We were able to give them a donation to help them finish their house, and they said, thank you for being a light and a blessing to this community, showing love and kindness to vulnerable people. Guys, that's what we're doing. That's what you did. Sherry at CityLinks, another organization here in town who works with kids in the foster system. I met with her earlier before Christmas, and she was telling me what they do, and I said, do you have any needs? She's like, well, we have to take these kids on supervised visits to see their parents, and we're all kind of trying to figure out how to do it because we don't really have a car or anything. And we're hoping to get a minivan. And I said, oh, you're getting a minivan. You bought them one. She wrote this, Woodland Church, our thank yous could never truly show how incredibly blessed we are at your generosity. We absolutely love our new minivan. We named it Jonah. Apparently it looks like a whale. And it's spreading encouragement throughout our staff and our city. This one's one of my favorites. Again, I can't read the whole thing, but her name's Carol. And Carol said that someone approached her while at Myers and gave her a letter with $100 cash. And right away, she knew it wasn't for her. It made her think of a single mom who was really struggling financially that she knew that cut her hair. So she said, on December 22nd, I was able to turn around and give her your letter and the money because I wanted her to have the same joy it brought me. Thank you for your generosity. It truly helped to heal my heart. I didn't get through this first service either. And I don't know Carol, and I'm like, I don't know what she needed healed in her heart. But how amazing is it that you guys helped do it? That you guys did something that made a difference in her. and that she then turned around and gave it to somebody else. Healing her heart wasn't the fact that she needed the money. She didn't. She just needed to see that somebody loved her and God saw her. And then some other mom did the same because you guys chose to just love like Jesus. And I got this one. I'm just going to read this whole one. And I'm not going to get through it. This is sat on my desk for 2 months. Whenever I get angry at people, I read this. I never get angry at you, Caden. I love you. Caden just had a baby this week. How cool is that? Yeah. Dear Pastor Goodman, I love that they're all addressed to me like I did it. You're welcome. I want to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your blessing this Christmas season. I never get through this letter. I was one of the truly lucky people to receive your envelope with such a generous gift. She said, what you did may seem small to you. I just think with that line. May seem small. I think for a lot of us, yeah, I gave a few bucks. It wasn't small to her. She said to me, it made the world of difference. I have 4 children and times are not easy. Christmas season has always felt heavy and overwhelming. Your generosity was the reminder that I needed that there's still good in this world. You truly brought the magical feeling of Christmas back into my home. And then she said something else, and this is so powerful. She said, what you gave was not just money. It was hope, relief. You relieved somebody's pain and encouragement. You gave them courage to keep going. Knowing that someone would give so freely without any expectation of anything in return meant more to me than words can say. I truly believe God works through people, and your generosity was the answer to prayer. May God bless you for the way that you bless others. Woodland Church, may God bless you the way you bless others. I don't know about you. This was enough blessing for me. Guys, this is the picture of perfection right here. This is picture perfect. Not how many social media followers I have, not how good I look or how skinny I am, because I'm not. Not how many things I win or whatever. The picture of perfection is that Jesus is leading me in small things. He's carrying me along to make the world something better than it was if I wasn't here. And he's doing the same thing with you. The picture of perfection is that God loves you deeply and passionately, and he died for you. And now he's saying, hey, come join me in loving the world together. And if you want to be perfect, the way that Jesus calls us to be, it's simply saying, okay, Jesus, make me like you. Make me like you, and I'm following you. I know I'm gonna fall down, I'm gonna make mistakes, I'm not gonna do it all right, but I'm gonna follow you and become like you because the world needs it, and I wanna be a part of that. That's my prayer for us, that we would choose to become like Jesus and find the life he has for us together.
Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. Oh Lord, change me like only you can. Here in my heart in your hands. And Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. This world is dying to know who you are. You've shown us the way to your heart. And Father, I pray, make me more like you know, Lord. So Lord, change me like only you can. And here with my heart in your hand. And Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. 'Cause this world is dying to know who you are. You've shown us the way to your heart. And Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. And more like Jesus. like only you can. Here with my heart in your hand, Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus. This world is dying to know who you are. You showed us the way to your heart. So Father, I pray, make me more like Jesus.
Guys, he's already shown us the way to his heart, hasn't he? And the world's always going to define perfection. It's trying to be flawless and prettiest and popular and all the other nonsense. And the voices in your head are going to say God is upset with you and wants you to work harder. And every time he does, just look to the cross. Your price has been paid. He met you where you're at. While you were still sinners, he poured out your love. And my prayer for you, my prayer for myself, my prayer for our church, guys, is that we would receive and accept that love and how he feels for us unconditionally, and choose to become more and more like Jesus in how we just give our lives away and love each other in our city. My prayer is that we would find a different standard of success that's measured in the difference we make in the world. Can we do that together? Yeah. As we head out today, we have this thing we like to say, rooted, growing, and overflowing. That we would be people who are rooted in Jesus and decide that he's the way we're gonna live. Growing by becoming what we're made to be, by just following him and letting his spirit work in us. And overflowing like this, overflowing to a world that needs it. If this morning you've got questions about who Jesus is, or maybe you're wanting to take a step with him, I wanna encourage you to let us know. It's nothing crazy or weird. You could take that next step card and just fill it out and drop it off at our welcome center. Come find me, one of our other pastors. Whoever it is, what is our next step to keep following Jesus and making a difference in our world? Let me pray for us as we head out today. God, we're so grateful for you. We're grateful that you love us in our brokenness. We're grateful that I don't have to perform. I don't have to be perfect. You just love me. And I'm so grateful, God. I'm so grateful that you died for me when I had no hope. I had no shot at making it on my own, but you just loved me. And I'm grateful, God. And I hear your call to now come and help others see how much you love them. And my answer, Jesus, is yes. My answer is yes. Our answer as a church, Jesus, is yes. Use us to overflow your love to the world and make us more like you. We're all in, Jesus. We pray this in your name. Guys, have an awesome Easter Sunday. We're gonna jump back into the Gospel of Matthew next Sunday. Would love to see you here. Have fun, have a great day. We will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.